Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 7:05 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 in Cafeteria B of Westfield High School, 550 Dorian Road, Westfield, New Jersey. The purpose of the meeting is to transact the regular business of the Board and to transact any other business to come properly before the Board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Thursday, January 15th, 2026, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education, located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, NJ.com, the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Tap into Westfield, District website, and patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Patty, may I have a roll call, please?
Rob Bonaccio.
Here.
Kent Diamonds.
Here.
Brendan Galligan.
Here.
Charles Gelinas. Layla Morelli. Sonal Patel.
Here.
Kristen Sonic-Schmeltz.
Here.
Julie Steinberg.
Here.
Mary Wickens.
I never looked this way. Julie, would you mind leading us in a flag salute, please? Let's start with announcements that we have for the board. Julie, you want to start?
Westfield Public Schools will be closed on February 16th and 17th in observance of President's Day and the Lunar New Year. District offices will be closed on February 16th only.
Kent?
Yes. The 2026 Children's Concert, Peter and the Wolf, presented by the Westfield High School Wind Ensemble, will take place on Monday, February 9th at 6 p.m. in the Edison Intermediate School Auditorium. Don't delay. Please go to the What's New in our community section of the district website for information on obtaining tickets. Thank you.
Yep. We are pleased to share that families can now upload medical documents directly to their child's Genesis account through the parent portal. Using the Forms Library in Genesis, parents and guardians may submit physicals, immunization records, medical forms, and doctor's notes securely and efficiently. This streamlined process allows for faster sharing of important health information with the school, helping us better support the health and well-being of our students.
Sonal?
As we start the new year, our school counselors across the district are visiting classrooms to lead lessons and activities focused on cooperation, positive behavior, and building healthy relationships. These age-appropriate lessons support students' social, emotional growth and helps create safe, respectful, and welcoming school environments. This proactive work gives students the skills they need to learn, connect with others, and feel supported at school.
9 Westfield third grade students participated in the Union County Brain Bowl on January 6th. The event brings together 100 gifted third grade students from school districts across Union County through the Union County Gifted and Talented Association. The Brain Bowl was hosted by Westfield Public Schools gifted teacher and president of the Union County Gifted and Talented Association, Esther Van Riper. This academic competition celebrates critical thinking, teamwork, and a love for learning. We're incredibly proud of our students for representing Westfield with such energy, pride, and excellence. Thank you.
The next regular public meeting of the Board of Education will be on Tuesday, February 10th in Cafeteria B at Westfield High School, beginning at 7 p.m. The meeting will be live streamed via the district YouTube channel, which viewers can access on the Board tab on the district website. And with that, we will move to a report by District Administration. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. And before we get started on tonight's agenda and the presentation, the first presentation of our 2026-27 budget, I'd like to take a moment to quickly acknowledge and celebrate a very important observance, and that observance is School Board Recognition Month. This is a time to recognize the incredible service, commitment, and leadership of the men and women who serve on boards of education throughout the state, including our very own Westfield Board of Education. And while board members come from various professional backgrounds and communities, bringing a diverse set of experiences, perspectives, and expertise to the table. They all are united by a shared and unwavering mission, which is to make the school districts they serve the absolute best they can be for every student who walks through the doors. These individuals are first and foremost volunteers. Their role is often demanding, complex, and requires a tremendous amount of personal time. They give so much of their time attending meetings, reading background material, serving on various committees, and engaging with the public to solicit feedback. They do so while balancing their own full-time jobs, careers, and responsibilities of their own families. Their commitment is a testament to their belief in public education and the future of our town. Their governance and leadership provide the direction and foundation our administration needs to effectively carry out the district's mission and succeed in the daily work of educating our students. They are the link between the community's vision and the operational reality of our schools. Whether they're working in committees to update policy, review budgets, collaborate with municipal partners, or engage the community in conversations that matter, their focus remains on creating the maximum number of opportunities for our children to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. They make difficult decisions with the well-being of almost 6,000 students in mind. They ensure accountability, uphold transparency, and tirelessly advocate for the resources necessary to maintain Westfield's tradition of excellence. So on behalf of the entire Westfield Public School District, I want to extend our deepest and most sincere gratitude to all members of the Westfield Board of Education. Thank you for your selfless service to our community, your unwavering commitment to our students, and we are fortunate to have you steering our district forward. I'd share my plaque with all of you, but I didn't bring it this time. So with that, I do want to thank you all for your service and support of the school district, and that will lead us into the next presentation in which we will dig into the details of our budget for the next school year. So this time I'd like to invite Patty Ramos and Matt Bolton to join me at the podium as we present the first of many presentations. So each year over the past several years, we have taken the opportunity to begin our conversations about the subsequent year's operating budget, starting as early as January. Even though the work that is underway starts as early as October of a given school year, our opportunity to openly discuss the development of the budget is important not only for us as administration to share with the Board of Education to engage in these conversations, but also to ensure that our public is well informed about the opportunities as well as the challenges that we're faced in order to provide the quality of education here in Westfield. So this evening, we're going to begin with the highlights of our current year's budget, all the things that we are doing both through our operating budget as well as the bond referendum, which was recently passed in April of last year. And then we're going to use that as the jumping off point to then talk about the development of the 2026-27 budget, identifying both what we need to expect as well as what we need to prioritize and what goals we have for the upcoming school year. And then we'll end with the next steps. The next steps will certainly be those steps that are necessary to get us from development to a preliminary budget that then gets approved at the board level and then presented at the community level for a budget vote in April. So we're going to begin with the referendum update, and I'm going to ask Patty to take it from here.
Okay, so the referendum is really starting to ramp up now. We just had another project meeting today. Our first 2 bids are out on the street with another 3 bids coming up within the next 2 months. So design work is ongoing. 2 of our projects have gone back down to the state for final review. The rest will be going down by the end of this month. And then we'll be really entering into the bidding construction phase happening starting this summer. As far as bond funding is concerned, we have issued $25.3 million in bond anticipation notes. We did that last summer. They come due this August. At that point, we're going to be looking to do permanent financing, issuing our bonds. We expect the tax impact to be felt in Westfield in the year 2027, because once we issue the bonds, the first payments usually due about a year later. We're still working out the payment timeframes is going to depend on interest rates. We work with the financial advisor as to how much we'll issue, if it's one issuance or multiple issuances at that time. And then as far as the operating budget, for this year, there is no impact from the referendum. We've been talking about kindergarten. When it comes online, we have to fund those teachers, the staff-related costs, supplies, other things that are going to go into those kindergarten classrooms will be funded through the operating budget for the 28-29 school year. That's when you'll be seeing that. But we just want to keep reminding everyone that that will be coming along down the pike, and that we are monitoring that, and we're constantly reviewing costs and looking at our settlement agreements with the different unions.
Hi, everyone. I'd just like to take a few minutes to highlight some of the curriculum and professional learning initiatives that have been supported over the past year through the support of this past budget, and how these investments have directly impacted both our teaching and the learning of our students. See, I get to talk in my department, I get to talk about the fun and exciting things. You'll hear Patty and Ray over the next couple of months probably talking about boring things like electricity and heat, but those are also required things. The ironic part of this is that the fun and exciting things are also not always the required things. So they also happen to be things that directly impact staffing. When we talk about adding new courses, we often talk about staffing, and as we all know from previous budget presentations, staffing tends to be one of the more costly items in our budget. So the overall objective of what we do in the curriculum office is to provide our students with the ceiling and not the floor, which is what's minimally required. So some of the things that we've been working on over the past year, or over this past year, actually just since this summer, we've redesigned more than 70 course curriculum. So that's 70 courses that have been redesigned and approved by the board since August. That's out of, over the past 2.5 years, we've redesigned 163 courses of our total 306 courses that are offered in the Westfield Public Schools. So we're well on our way to making a dent. And that work is really rooted in providing our teachers and our students with a standards-based, very well-aligned, clear, consistent educational experience. Alongside this work, our assessment and screening platforms continue to provide our teachers with actionable data that they can use to personalize instruction. And all of this curricular work is now housed in an easy-to-use and easy-to-access, especially for the public, an interface and a platform that we use for storing all of our curriculum. This platform also allows our teachers and our students to better collaborate and plan lesson plans and assessments. So all of those were impacted by this past year's budget. The budget's also supported the development and implementation of several new courses. We have the Money Mindset course at the intermediate school that provides our students in 6th grade this year with basic foundational information on financial literacy. We've expanded our, we also have a 21st Century Communications course, which focuses on the essentials of communication and collaboration. We've also expanded our enrichment opportunities and created new modern music courses in grades 6 and 7 to broaden our arts offerings to students. And we've implemented a media and digital literacy course for our 6th grades, targeting our 6th grade students to really help prepare them to navigate an ever complex digital world that they're growing up in. Next slide, there you go. Equally important are the professional development and professional learning opportunities that have been supported through the budget. Through collaborative partnerships with outside consultants, we've been able to provide our teachers with ongoing and job-embedded professional learning, particularly in the area to improving instructional practices such as small group learning. That's been a major initiative in our middle schools and elementary schools this year. We've also leveraged in-district expertise to provide workshops and conferences to our teachers in teaching in the world of artificial intelligence. We've also developed their abilities to understand and interpret new instructional practices in early literacy and the effective uses of assessment within these new platforms that we've purchased. In addition, our counselors, through partnerships with community agencies, we've been able to provide all of our counselors throughout the district with advanced training in enabling our students to cope with grief and loss. That's actually an important item of note, because I think the conventional wisdom is often that we don't, in our budgets in Westfield, think about opportunities where we can look for other alternative methods of funding. And this was a grant opportunity that between this community agency and the district, we were able to provide this, all of this advanced training to all of our counselors for nothing because of the grant. So that was an excellent and creative opportunity that resulted in an outstanding experience for our counselors and ultimately better support for our students. So together, all of these curricular and professional learning investments reflect thoughtful and strategic use of our district's budget, and I really do hope that this continues in the future. Thank you.
I have to disagree with Dr. Bolton. I think my stuff is just as exciting. So some of our budget highlights are 24 grade 2 elementary classrooms received new furniture. We did the ramp at Franklin Elementary School. We have security improvements. We don't list them all out here, but you can see them throughout hallways as you go through the buildings, on the outside of the buildings too. 19 classrooms at the high school here received new flooring. And then also at the high school, you can see in this cafeteria, we refreshed our furniture, did painting. We did the JV baseball field at Edison, and the dugouts and new fencing were added to the Westfield High School field. I'd also like to note, like Dr. Bolton did, some of these projects are offset with grants that we receive. As far as from the boosters, we received money for a new scoreboard for the field. We received money from softball for the fencing. We take in money from local recreation grants for Franklin. We're always looking for opportunities to supplement the money that we receive through the operating budget. It's also important to note that we are able to continue on these projects like the flooring because the referendum was passed. So it took some of that burden of what are we going to do with these HVAC systems, what's going to happen with this, off of our shoulders, where we can now use that capital reserve money to start looking at replacing the old asbestos flooring throughout our school, chipping away at the projects that have been listed for many, many years in the district that we're going to finally hopefully get to tackle as we move along.
Yeah, before we jump into, the current year or the upcoming year budget, I do want to highlight the importance of why we're taking the approach we are in presenting this. The prior 3 slides that you saw highlighting our curriculum, our professional development, our facilities really would not have been possible had we as a community, as a Board of Education, as an administration, did not come together in partnership 4 years ago by moving the board election and budget vote to April. We are fortunate in Westfield to be able to have options available to us in order to grow our budget, in order to support our programs, and in order to expand in the way that we have. The public school funding in the state of New Jersey is unfortunately not perfect, and as a result, there are limitations placed on school districts in how they are able to fund their schools each and every year. And what we are seeing, and I'm not speaking out of turn, all you have to do is open up the newspaper and you'll see even within the state of New Jersey, there are school districts that are not only experiencing what we experienced 4 years ago with cuts or challenges to their budget, but they're experiencing that in the middle of the school year. They're coming to find out that the increases that are being imposed upon them by rising costs of healthcare or by just unfortunate planning challenges that had plagued their school districts, they're finding themselves making the impossible decisions. What do we cut in order to be able to continue to survive each and every year. So for Westfield, we hit that cliff. We fell over that cliff a number of years ago, and we vowed not to do that again. And in order to do that, we partnered with the community, we put the budget to a vote, and each year that we have received the support of the community, we have been able to accomplish what you have seen in those prior slides. We've been able to build our programs, we've been able to replenish our staff and provide our students and schools with the support needed to provide that excellence in education. And in doing so, we've also been able to maximize those partnerships, as Patty just mentioned, so that our work with the PTOs, our work with the philanthropic organizations in town, our work with state-level grants are able to supplement our work rather than provide the necessary materials and resources we need to provide that education. So together, the prior slides show we are maximizing our partnerships, our resources, and our opportunities to be able to build our school district's capacity, to be able to deliver a future-ready education for all of our students, and facilities that could accommodate their needs. So that's my segue into what we're going to be doing in the coming months ahead and what to expect. Just based on this slide, the basic premise is that we are still early in the process. We have not received our full healthcare projections, nor have we received the state aid figures from the New Jersey Department of Education and the governor's office. And because of the transition in the governor's office, we're expecting to even get that state aid announcement even later. Just because that's just the natural progression of transitions at the governor's level. So as a result, we're anticipating and building a budget now that's based on a flat state aid figure. So whatever we got last year, we're anticipating we should hopefully get for this year. We've been given no reason to believe that we would get any more or less. But keeping in mind that that only represents 7% of our revenue. The majority of our revenue that supports our operating budget comes from the tax levy. So that's the reason why we're building a budget with that in mind. We also recognize that in addition to being able to continue the work that we do from the prior year, we have to take into account everything from salary increases that are contractually based, as well as health care increases that are based on a number of factors, and those are costs that we need to rely on our healthcare provider and broker to provide us accurate projections, but understanding that they are projections. We are making decisions and we're budgeting based upon not what we are experiencing today, but by June, what those numbers will look like, by January of the following year, what those numbers will look like based upon our experience. All of that is what we are anticipating, both from a salary standpoint and based upon our current year trends, which are looking at least a 15% increase in healthcare costs from the current year. So as we make decisions, we have to be guided by priorities and goals. And on each of these slides, you'll notice that we keep in the lower left corner the three icons that represent our work in the district and what has guided our work over the past several years. So in the center, you have our school district logo. Why? Because our mission is very clear and consistent and has been in order to ensure that our students have what they need to be successful. But we've also, over the past several years, adopted additional guiding resources for us. Our strategic plan identified 5 goals for the school district that have provided the North Star for us relative to academics, health and wellness, diversity and inclusion, as well as community engagement and fiscal and facility preparation. All of that will be reflected both in what we've done up to this point and the work that we are doing moving forward. So when we have to make tough decisions, we need to make sure that we are aligning those decisions to those priorities. We also have our Strong Foundations and Bright Futures, which is the referendum that is also tied to our mission, which is also tied to our strategic plan. So aligning all of that helps to make some of these tough decisions a little bit easier. Now, in all of the presentations we've done since my arrival, we've made sure that student outcomes maintain the greatest priority in the decisions that we make. We want to make sure that class sizes remain consistent with guidelines, as well as course offerings continue to be provided to our students in the same way that they've been accustomed to. We also want to make sure that we do not diminish any of the current levels of service and programs that our students receive today, and that's both in the academic realm as well as the extracurricular realm as well. All of those are priorities. All of those are things that we are working towards, and we're doing so while also keeping an eye on the future. We can't just budget for this year without considering what our needs may be in the future years, which is why Patty mentioned early on that our planning for opening full-day kindergarten in 2028, in September 2028, forces us to think about what we need today, what we're going to need next year, and what we're going to need in order to be ready for that opening in 2028. Now, with all of those priorities, we still want to have goals. We still want to be able to build upon our existing work and expand programs and offerings if at all possible. And we also want to make sure that we are continuing to improve and sustain our facilities. This investment in our facilities is not only investment in our educational opportunities, but also in making sure that we are taking care of our buildings, taking care of the infrastructure, so that those problems don't start to mount greater and greater over time, which will then eventually cost us as a district and you as a taxpayer even more money if we don't take advantage of the current cost to provide that preventative maintenance or investment. So with that, we have to make some important decisions, and those key decision points listed here highlight just three key questions. One is, when we look at the coming year's budget, we know with absolute certainty, based upon what I shared earlier, anticipating flat state aid and the increase in salaries and health benefits, there is no question that in order to be able to continue our current level of offerings, we are going to have to go out for an additional funding proposal to the community, asking the community once again to partner with us. Now, the question at this point is premature to know how much, but ultimately we will have to look at our base operating budget that the board is able to approve at the tax levy cap with any adjustments, in order to determine then how much we then will need the budget vote to include for that additional funding proposal. We also, in making those decisions, may find that we can't fit it all. Or in order to do it all, meaning maintain our existing programs and offerings and potentially expand existing programs and offerings, maybe that goal may not be possible. And as a result, we're going to have to make decisions about what programs we are able to expand next year and maybe what programs may have to wait. Doesn't mean that it's not possible, but it may not be possible next year. Everything may not be possible next year. And that's just the reality that we're facing. But in order to have those conversations, we are still missing some key components in the budget equation, and that's why we just want to set that stage now. But in the coming weeks, our committees will continue to meet as Board of Education committees meet. Our February 10th board meeting will provide additional details as well. And then ultimately, all of that will be fleshed out in time for a March preliminary budget vote at the start of the month. And then last but not least, we always want to make sure when we are building the budget, are we maximizing every opportunity to be efficient with how we use our existing resources, or, as been mentioned, are we tapping into the other opportunities that exist out there to help supplement our revenue? Grants, shared services, or other ways to reduce expenses. We have taken a number of initiatives over time to help reduce our operating costs, whether it be moving to consistent multifunction print centers to replace the individual printers that are in classrooms that take up toner and are less energy efficient. We're looking at ways that we can use technology to assist the work in our offices and classrooms around the district in order to save time and maximize output for planning, for collaboration, or just for getting the job done more effectively and efficiently. We are constantly making sure that we review our business practices to ensure that we are maximizing the time and energy spent in getting the job done, to be able to hire, to be able to retain, to be able to attract personnel, as well as making sure that their experiences while here are supported by the most effective and efficient systems possible. So, next steps for the Board of Education, for the administration, and for the community is, as I mentioned before, going to continue into February with our next public board meeting and presentation on the budget taking place on February 10th. And then we're going to look at February 26th, hopefully around that time, if not soon thereafter, when we'll get notification from the governor's office and the Department of Education what our state aid figures will be for the coming school year. And then on March 3rd, we are anticipating we will have all of that information, maybe a quick turnaround for us, but we will have that information in time to do our preliminary budget presentation to the Board of Education in order for you to be able to vote and approve so that we could submit that to the county office of the Department of Education for their review. All of that is so that by March 24th, the Board of Education will have the opportunity and responsibility to cast their vote to approve two things. The first will be the base budget, which, as I mentioned before, consists of a tax levy cap in its purest form, as well as any potential adjustments. And the board would have to also approve not only the amount, but the wording for an additional funding proposal. And as we've known in the past, that additional funding proposal not only specifies the amount of money, but the items that would be included, so that taxpayers and eligible voters would be able to see exactly what they would be voting on. All of that would then be approved by the end of March, so that by April 21st, the third Tuesday of April, the community would not only vote on the Board of Education candidates who would be up for election, but also that additional funding proposal to finalize the budget for the 26-27 school year. So on that note, we provide the very subtle reminder that this is all ultimately for us to be able to get everyone out to vote on April 21st, but to do so, we want to make sure that they are informed and comfortable with what they are voting on. So thank you. And at this time, I'd ask Matt and Patty to join me to answer any questions from the board.
Any questions from the board? Okay. I'd like to thank you for the look. So we do this now every year, a huge set of presentations to inform as best we can. We are certainly not unaware of the work that goes into every piece of the presentation just to get us all ready to go for the public. So thank you very much for that, for keeping us informed, the public informed, and we look forward to a great process. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we'll move to our high school student representative report. Ben?
As we approach the halfway point of our school year, WHS is getting ready to transition into the second semester. Students are preparing for midterms, which are the last week of this month going to the first week of February. A new parking lottery will be redrawn, and our counselors are working hard to guide the different grades through their class selections, while also beginning the junior conference sessions, where parents, students, and counselors meet to begin to discuss the college application process. Friday the 9th marked the final transition outreach of the 2025 to 2026 school year. upperclassmen leaders focused on preparing freshmen for the upcoming midterms, and throughout the year they worked hard to create a welcoming environment for the freshmen, serving as a guiding hand through their first months of high school. WHS clubs garnered some notable achievements since the last time we met. Model UN had its annual conference in Hershey, Pennsylvania from January 9th to 11th, where Westfield won the Premier Delegation Award, distinguishing itself as the top high school attending the conference of over 1,400 students. Many WHS students also were elected as officers to lead their respective committees, as well as being recognized for various awards ranging from debate to service in the community. On January 8th, WHS's DECA, Distributive Education Clubs of America chapter, a club that aims to foster emerging leaders in various business disciplines, competed in the organization's Central New Jersey District competition at Keene University. A total of 34 students qualified for the state competition, a placement that combined students' written exam scores with how they performed in a business role play in front of a judge. All the qualifying students placed top 14 out of the whole district within their respective committees. Furthermore, on January 13th, students in the Science Olympiad Club earned 4 medals for top 6 finishes out of 12 total events in a regional competition at UCNJ. They will be moving on to the state's competition in March, as well as participating in the National Princeton Invitational Tournament in February. The robotics team is also putting up a strong season. In their most recent competition, their teams garnered 2 awards, one for the engineering of their robot and one for the outreach to the local community. Also, to add onto our growing list of student achievement, 7 students from the band program, 4 students from the orchestra program, and 12 students from the choir program were accepted into the highly competitive New Jersey Regional Ensembles following auditions in December. They will be rehearsing under distinguished conductors and along with top musicians from the schools all across the region. Overall, these achievements underscore the multifaceted environment that WHS fosters. We're very proud to be a school that supports opportunities for students to grow in ways beyond the traditional classroom, and we're looking forward to see what the future has to offer. A special thanks goes out to not only students and advisors, but also the families, community members, and volunteers whose continued support makes this level of excellence possible. Finally, this past Thursday, Mrs. Fendis' Student Advisory Council, made up of representatives from each grade and the SGA, met for the second time this year. They discussed student reactions to school policy, especially differing opinions on the Genesis blackout and district login policy on Chromebooks, and worked to brainstorm any needed solutions. One point of discussion was the positive reception that the cell phone policy has garnered among students. Transparency and the trust put into students to regulate their usage has been foundational, which puts WHS in a strong position to address the statewide cell phone guidelines recently released by the governor's office. SGA also proposed some fun new ideas to implement, but mostly we are focusing on preparing for the upcoming Community Service Week at the end of March. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. We'll move to board committee reports. We'll start with curriculum instructions and programs. Kristen?
I feel like, okay, I'm going to go with you can hear me. The green button's on, but. SIP convened on Monday, January 12th to review and discuss several curriculum, instructional, and programmatic items. The committee first discussed proposed revisions to the Board Policy 2530 resource materials, as well as the addition of a new mandated policy, Board Policy 2535 library materials. The committee also received a status update from Dr. Bolton on progress toward annual goals and the implementation of key initiatives within the Office of Curriculum and Instruction. The update highlighted that the Curriculum Office is well positioned to advance several priorities aligned with the district's strategic plan, including professional development focused on small group instruction, curriculum revisions across multiple departments, the development of an online asynchronous financial literacy course for the high school students, and the expansion of AP course offerings. The committee also noted that budget priorities for the 26-27 school year could influence the timeline for implementing additional initiatives currently under development. These include the introduction of American Sign Language, the redesign of the district's gifted program, and the expansion of select middle school elective courses. Dr. Weissman provided an update on student support services, which highlighted the district's commitment to program analysis centered on the student's experience, student outcomes, and fiscal responsibility. The committee was informed that both district-run and outside service provider programs are reviewed annually to ensure that services meet established district expectations and effectively support student needs. The SIP committee also reviewed and approved an application for the Westfield High School Color Guard to participate in an overnight field trip. Finally, the agenda for this evening includes a substantial number of revised visual and performing arts courses. While these courses were previously approved by SIP committee in October, additional time has been allotted to allow for further review due to the volume of the courses presented. The next meeting for SIP will be held on February 2nd.
Thank you, Kristen. We'll move to finance and facilities. Brendan?
Yep. Finance and Facilities met on Friday morning. We spent the bulk of our time talking about the budget. I'm not going to bore everybody with a reiteration of that. Just that I'll hit the highlights that healthcare is the driver this year. Just for December alone, our medical expenses were $2 million, and when you factor in prescriptions, we were over $3 million for the month. It continues a trend that we've seen over the last 6 to 8 months that we thought had come to a conclusion, but it's right back to where we were. It's concerning, and we're continuing to monitor it and figure out what we can do going forward to control some costs. We talked about an issue at Kaler Field with people walking their dogs and not cleaning up after their dogs on the turf field, as well as kids riding their bikes on the track and the turf, damaging both of them. So we're looking at restricting access to the revolving pedestrian gate on the Raway Avenue side, and closing the door between Kaler and Lincoln, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We temporarily opened one of the smaller gates again on the Raway side to see how it goes, but we're monitoring the situation. So if it keeps happening,
Yeah.
the revolving door by Lincoln would be open, but not the other.
Okay, I had it backwards, yeah. Moving on to Roosevelt. Cannot wait till this project is done. It's gone on a year longer than it was supposed to at this point. The panels are complete. These are the decorative panels up at the top of the parapet. Roof work repairs are underway. The last thing to do is power wash and get the scaffolding off the property and restore the landscaping. So hopefully we'll be done with that early spring, weather permitting. We work with the town every year regarding the playground summer camp. It's gone on in the district for decades, where they use every one of our elementary schools for neighborhood community programs during the summer months. With construction going on at all of our schools, particularly the elementary schools, over the next 3, 4, 5 years, we've had to notify the town they won't be able to use all of our facilities, so they're working on restructuring that playground camp for the next several summers. And then with the referendum, the electrical service bids were advertised on the 15th. We split the projects into 2 bids, and buildings with solar were with 1 bid, and all the other buildings were on the other. Edison and Roosevelt projects were submitted for final approval to the state. Bathroom work, site work for the playgrounds, regrading at Washington School, and the drop-off loop at Franklin will all be bid next month, with the expectation that those projects will be completed this upcoming summer. And then the last thing we talked about, if you look at item I on our agenda tonight, it's to approve the project labor agreement for all referendum work. This is something Westfield's never done before, but it's prudent given the scale and complexity of this work. All construction at schools remains subject to New Jersey's prevailing wage laws, and with the Department of Labor increasing enforcement activity, the importance of a clear and enforceable labor compliance. A PLA strengthens project framework by standardizing work rules, scheduling flexibility, and apprentice utilization. Creates a system for dispute resolution across all contracts before bids are submitted. That predictability should hopefully reduce uncertainty, improve coordination among the trades, and minimize post-award disputes and change orders. It also should avoid costly delays, work stoppages, and supports a higher quality workmanship from a skilled, trained workforce. The results should result in a more reliable delivery, lower reasonable total cost of the district over the life of the project, and it's fully aligned with all of our objectives and the scope of the project. And the last thing we did discuss was revising our policy around building naming. We've gotten several requests over the last several meetings for buildings or portions of buildings to be named after specific people in town. Our last policy there had been updated in 2002. So we as a finance committee, or the facilities committee, are starting that process. We should have it done in February, and we'll pass a recommendation off to PPG for their March meeting, so we can clean up that policy. And that's it, after a 2.5-hour meeting.
Thank you. Next, report by Policies, Personnel, and Governance. Sonal?
The Policy, Personnel, and Governance Committee met on January 15th at 4 o'clock. Myself, Mary, Rob, and Layla were present, along with Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Greer, representing the administration. The meeting began with an update on our initiative to create or revise job descriptions for all positions district-wide. This most recent review covered 42 job descriptions, including those for visual and performing arts, stipends, safety patrol, and lunchroom aides. All descriptions were prepared by the administrators who directly oversee these roles. The committee is confident in the thoroughness of the process and recommends that these job descriptions be placed on the upcoming board agenda for approval. In the area of policy, the committee reviewed several policies and regulations and recommends them for first reading or repeal at the next board meeting. These include a revised version of Policy 0142.1, nepotism, Policy 1220, employment of chief school administrator, and the introduction of new policy and regulation 1552, addressing sexual harassment of staff. The committee also recommends the repeal of Policy 3362 and Policy 4352, both of which previously addressed sexual harassment, now replaced with the newly created Policy 1552. Additionally, the committee discussed the recent legislation signed by Governor Murphy that restricts student use of internet-enabled devices during the school day, on buses, or at school-sponsored events. The law takes effect in the 26-27 school year and directs the Commissioner of Education to release a model policy within 90 days of January 8th. The committee noted that Strauss Esme had issued revised guidance for policy and regulation 5516 in December 24 and plans to align it with the model policy once it is available. The committee will revisit this policy for further review at that time. The committee also reviewed Policy 9130, public complaints. During the discussion, there was consensus on the need for clarification to make clear that this policy addresses procedures only and does not create new grievance rights. The policy is intended to apply where an existing policy recognizes a complaint and no other specific procedure is already established. The committee recommends that the administration work with the board attorney to propose appropriate clarifying language. And lastly, the committee revisited the proposed 26-27 school calendar to maximize the summer of 2027 for referendum-related construction while preserving educational benefits. When the calendar was first approved in May of '24, the district did not yet know the outcome of the April 25 bond referendum. With the referendum approved and timelines clarified, calendar adjustments are necessary to support substantial project completion ahead of the September 2028 launch of full-day kindergarten, an ambitious but achievable goal. Key elements of the revised calendar include a student start date of September 1 with a half-day on the Friday before Labor Day, staff returning the prior Wednesday and Thursday, February 12th becoming a regular instructional day, and a projected last day of school on Wednesday, June 16th, 2027. For inclement weather, if additional school days are needed, they would be taken from spring break in order of March 22nd, March 23rd, then March 24th, to meet statutory requirements. If those days are not needed, schools may close on May 28th, June 16th, and June 15th, in that order. The committee recognizes that some staff and families may have already scheduled vacations based on the previously published calendar. Given the timing of this revision, administrators will work with staff regarding the use of personal days, and early September student absences may be treated as excused with appropriate documentation. The committee strongly recommends communicating the revised calendar as soon as it is formally adopted. Beyond construction needs, the revised calendar provides academic and logistical benefits. Approximately 5 additional instructional days before the state assessments and AP exam window in May, fewer conflicts with competitive programs and internships that begin in mid-June, improved alignment for seniors with college transcript timelines and late August post-secondary start dates, shifts instructional time to early September when attendance and engagement are typically stronger rather than late June. The committee also noted that expanding cultural and religious observances has made calendar development increasingly complex, requiring careful balancing of statutory requirements, instructional priorities, and construction constraints. Following board approval of the revised 26-27 calendar, the board will review and vote on the 27-28 and 28-29 calendars in the next month with the same goal of maximizing construction time while maintaining the academic benefits described above. Our next meeting for PP&G is scheduled for February 5th. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, that would be the time, yeah.
Okay, just really quickly, I want to thank the PPG and the administration and staff for their work on the calendar that's been proposed. Just for planning purposes, I just want to mention that 2027 is a Jewish leap year, and as is our practice, what's going to happen this year is Passover will occur later than usual, which means it'll happen in April and not overlap with our spring break. And as is our custom, that means spring break will happen separately and Passover will occur during regular school days. And just want to mention that during that period, some observant students and staff may be unable to attend or participate fully in instructional and school-sponsored activities. And while the board and the administration considers a range of religious observances each year, raising this now, I just want to raise this now in an effort to support advanced planning, help avoid unnecessary conflicts, and ensure that accommodation policies are applied clearly and consistently. So thank you for that consideration, and again, many thanks for the hard work. I know that this year in particular, it was particularly challenging, and I thank you for the effort and for your consideration of these comments.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. We'll now move to recognize the public for agenda action items only. These are the items that are marked numbers 9 to 13 on the board agenda. There will be a separate comment period for non-agenda items, items that we're not going to be voting on once the voting is complete afterwards. So hang on for that if you have comments there. As a courtesy, we ask you to allow any current students or staff of Westfield Public Schools in the audience to speak first. The board requests that individuals sign in and state their name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable for the record, the specific action items they're commenting on, and ask that all remarks be directed to the board president or designee, not to individual members or staff. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personnel matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, the superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education, either by telephone, letter, or email. Although the board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the board president may terminate the participant's statement. Continued disruptions may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration.
No. Hello? Okay. Good evening. I'm Violetta Watson. I was wondering if it's possible for the board to clarify on the subject of curriculum I think I heard something about, honestly, it was a quick report, but I think I heard something about inclusion or in-class support or something like that, potentially in the report. I was wondering if there are any efforts to that end, whether there are any efforts in the curricular committee right now toward the goal of further inclusion, further in-class support within classrooms, rather than pull out, and just wanted to hear more about that if possible.
I know there's nothing on the agenda in that regard that we're voting on, certainly for this portion of the meeting. We're not voting on anything specific to inclusion or anything like that at this point, but since there's nothing we're voting on now in that area, maybe toward the end, if there's something to add into it, we can do that during the more general public session of it. But thank you for the question. Anyone else? Okay, I will close public comment, at least the first public comment. I'll start by making a motion to approve the December 16th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. May I have a second, please? Second. Ken? We can do this by voice vote, I think. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, that carries. Kristen, would you move the governance items on the agenda, please?
Sure. I'd like to move items A and B under governance on tonight's agenda. Can I get a second? Sonal?
Patty?
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamonds.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Charles Gelinas, Leila Morelli, Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic Schmeltz,
Yes.
Julie Steinberg,
No.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay. Next, the personnel items on the agenda. Sonal?
Okay, I'd like to move items A through W under the personnel section of tonight's agenda. Can I have a second? Thank you, Kristen. Dr. Gonzalez, would you like to say anything at this time?
Yes, thank you. I have a number of comments to share regarding members of our staff who are going to be retiring, beginning with Alexandra Sandy Boutsikaris. She began her teaching career in the Westfield School District in September 1990, and over the years she has made a lasting impact on generations of students through her dedication to literacy and learning. With thoughtful and consistent instruction, Sandy has helped students build strong foundational reading and writing skills that supported their academic growth and built confidence that stayed with them well beyond the classroom. Her lessons were grounded in care, clarity, and high expectations, and always focused on helping students succeed. As a trusted member of the English Language Arts Department at Edison Intermediate School, Sandy brought professionalism, insight, and a steady presence that strengthened the team and supported colleagues at every stage of their careers. She is known for her collaborative spirit and her commitment to excellence in everything she did. Sandy's legacy is one of quiet strength, meaningful relationships, and a deep belief in the power of education. Up next, we have Robin Naylor. Robin has been a vibrant and dedicated member of the Visual and Performing Arts Department for over 30 years, shaping Westfield Elementary orchestra programs with care, creativity, and heart. Across multiple schools, Robin brought music to life for generations of students, leading rehearsals, concerts, and the All-City Orchestra with energy and precision. Her passion for music, rooted in her own life as a performer and lifelong learner, has inspired countless young musicians. Known for her collaboration, commitment, and joyful spirit, Robin was a trusted colleague and mentor who always put students first. Her legacy will live on through the music that she taught and the lives that she has touched. Christine Riley. Christine Riley has been a proud member of the Westfield School District for 33 years, beginning her journey at Tamaulipas as a student and returning to dedicate her career to the very same school community. She spent 24 years teaching second grade before moving into the Achieve program, always bringing care, consistency, and a deep understanding of student needs. As the I&RS and 504 coordinator, Christine played a key role in helping teachers and students navigate challenges with thoughtful planning and support. She served as a mentor and a buddy teacher to many new staff members and was known for her steady guidance, collaborative nature, and willingness to help whenever needed. Whether performing in the variety show or attending school events like Math Night and the Multicultural Celebration, Christine was always present and involved. Her work ethic, kindness, and commitment to the entire school community have set a high standard. She will be deeply missed by colleagues and students alike. Coral Venturino. Coral began her journey in the Westfield Public Schools in September 1990 as a part-time kindergarten teacher and went on to teach 2nd, 4th, and 5th grade at both Washington and Wilson schools. In Coral's classroom, students found more than a place to learn. They found a community. With energy and creativity, she's made learning joyful and meaningful, from organizing We Deliver and using classroom passports for global exploration to designing high-interest, hands-on lessons. One parent described her classroom as a roller coaster ride of educational adventures, a reflection of Coral's ability to make each day exciting and purposeful. Her favorite moments often come during the holidays when students exchange handmade Zawadi gifts and wrote poems about the emotional gifts they would give to someone. These traditions captured the hearts of Coral's teaching, nurturing kindness, connection, and empathy. As she moves into retirement, we hope the next chapter brings her the same joy and care she so generously shared with her students, families, and colleagues. And last but not least, Barbara Walling. Barbara has been a devoted and dedicated paraprofessional since 2008, known for building strong relationships with colleagues and making meaningful connections with students. Throughout her time in Westfield, she's worked across a variety of programs, including Bridge, LLD, ERI, and ABA, bringing creativity, enthusiasm, and a special talent for making learning fun and engaging. Her students truly adored her, and as she looks ahead to retirement, Barb is excited to spend more time with her family and friends and enjoys walks on the beach and playing plenty of pickleball. She will be warmly remembered and missed by all who had the pleasure of working with her. We thank each of our retirees for their service and dedication, and we wish them health, happiness, and fulfillment in this next chapter of their lives. Thank you.
Patty?
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Gelinas, Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic-Schmeltz,
Yes.
Julie Steinberg,
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Next to Finance and Facilities, Kent with our always anticipated diamond donation report.
Excellent. I'd like to move items A through O under the finance section of tonight's agenda. May I have a second, please? Thank you, Sonal. Before we move on to a vote, I'd like to highlight a few items, some pleasantful donations. First, from the Westfield United Fund for an outdoor bench, estimated value of $1,518 for the Franklin School playground. Next, Tamacris PTO donated $1,500 for an art assembly. Likewise, Franklin PTO also donated $1,500 for an art assembly. McKinley PTO donated $50,156.84 to purchase inclusive playground equipment for their playground. Wilson PTO donated $8,021.28 for 6 FlipForms music platforms for the Wilson music classes. And Rick Lesner donated a Pearl drum set, estimated value $700 for Franklin's music program. With these donations today totaling over $63,000, our school year to date is now $210,000, 38 cents and 72 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're ready for vote. Patty?
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Gelinas, Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic-Schmeltz,
Yes.
Julie Steinberg,
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Excellent. Now to the policy portion of the agenda. We'll go back to Sonal again.
I'd like to move items A and B under the policies section of tonight's agenda. Can I have a second? Thank you, Kent.
I think we're ready to move
Rob
to-
Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond. Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Charles Jelinas. Leila Morelli. Sonal Patel.
Yes.
Kristen Sonic Schmeltz.
Yes.
Julie Steinberg.
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, and last, curriculum instruction and programs. Kristen?
I'd like to move items A through C under the SIP section of the agenda. A is for 34 visual and performing arts courses, B is for 2 student teachers, and C is for 2 field trips at WHS. Mary can be my second. Yeah, okay.
Well done.
Rob Bonaccio.
Yes.
Kent Diamond.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Charles Jelinas. Leila Morelli. Sonal Patel.
Yes.
Kristen Sonic Schmeltz.
Yes.
Julie Steinberg.
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, I'll call the board's attention to the notes for the record. There is no unfinished or new business for the agenda, so we will move to liaison reports, if any. Kristen's got one, okay.
So the next PTC meeting is tomorrow morning, so I don't have a new report, but I did want to remind the community about 3 important events that I mentioned during the December one. One, the PTC will be honoring Dr. Gonzalez for his for earning the Superintendent of the Year recognition tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. in the conference room on the first floor of the Elm Street building. 2, the Special Education PTC Committee is hosting a program next week entitled Caring for Caregivers on January 27th at 7 p.m. in room 116 at Edison. And then 3rd, the Gifted Education PTC Committee is going to be hosting their annual STEAM Night on February 11th from 6:30 to 8 at Edison. Thank you.
Any other liaisons? Typically, if you have new business, you submit it before so we can get it on the agenda, but. Yeah, I think, that works. Yeah, go ahead. It's sort of right in the middle, but okay. Just an announcement about something from one of our board members. Go ahead. I don't want to steal your thunder. Go for it. No, go for it. Nope. Go for it. It's great.
I just wanted to say that I know we all do a lot of hard and important work here, and it's hard enough, having watched everyone try to get so many different policies, not only in the PPG, but in all of the committees. But I just wanted to mention that I was particularly impressed to see all the articles this past week about the new cell phone policy that's been enacted here in New Jersey, and to see that our own board member, Charles Jelinas, who's not here tonight, was such an important team member and proponent for moving that forward and getting it passed at the state level, as well as several residents of our town. And I just think it's an important thing to note and something for us to be proud of, because we're not only participating in the good of our own district, where we've enacted and we're a little bit ahead of this in many, many ways, due to the foresight of our administration and our board, but we're also enabling this to become possible at a state level. And I think it's just something we should be really proud of having that kind of proactive policy work and those types of people on our board. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Excellent. Thank you. There's no good spot for good news. Maybe it's liaison reports and good news. Thank you for raising that. That's good. Okay, next, we'll move to recognizing the public a second time during this portion of the meeting. Members of the public are invited to address the Board of Education on any topic. As a courtesy, please allow current students and staff of Westfield Public Schools to speak first. The board requests that individuals sign in and state their name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable for the record, excuse me, and asks that all remarks be directed to the board president or designee, not to individual board members or staff. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personnel matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education, either by telephone, letter, or email. Although the board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the board president may terminate the participant's statement Continued disruptions may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. Okay, seeing none, I will close this portion of public comment, but I wanted to respond a bit to the question that was asked earlier, so I know Dr. Gonzalez, feel free.
Yes, no, so thank you for raising the question. So the strategic plan that I referenced earlier, just as a reminder, includes a very important goal in the work that we're doing as a school district. And the goal specifically centered around diversity, equity, inclusion really underscores our commitment to creating inclusive environments in our schools for all students of all abilities, all backgrounds, and all experiences. This year in particular, under the leadership of Dr. Weissman, our Assistant Superintendent of Pupil Personnel Services, has been partnering with All In, formerly known as the New Jersey Center for Inclusive Education, in order to provide training to our staff, targeting this year in particular a focus on our administrators, ensuring that our classrooms are inclusive environments and our schools are inclusive environments certainly begins with the administration at each school in order to create those cultures and those experiences, not only for our students but for our staff as well, but also making sure that they have the necessary tools and support necessary to provide the resources that teachers would need to make those environments possible. So that work has taken place throughout the course of the year, beginning in September and continuing throughout the remainder of this year. And in February, we're actually going to be featuring that in our district newsletter with an update. So we're definitely looking forward to being able to provide additional information. But it is actively part of our strategic plan, guided by the work that we are doing across the district and implemented in real time through the partnership that I described with All In.
Thank you. I think the only other thing I would add is, I believe our committee chairs are all available, the names of them, I think, on the website. If not, we probably should have them up there. So if there's ever any specific questions about any of the committee work that's doing that maybe is sparked, from reports or that, maybe think of afterward, feel free to email any of those board members as you can about any other question, and we'll make sure we can get, what we can answer answered. So that's a good question. Thank you for coming out. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn. I'll take, Julie, get the second on that one there. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are